Hey guys, welcome. I wanted to do an update video on post-concussion syndrome and how things have been going for me. It's been 10 months since my last post-concussion syndrome video, and I am a little bit over 2.5 years out from my concussion. So my concussion happened December of 2020. Yeah, so we're a little bit over 2.5 years now, and I just wanted to give an update. Some new things have been going on and changes, and maybe my experiences could help some of you out there. The first thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that I had to get a new doctor. And, I was seeing a neurologist or a nurse practitioner at a neurologist office, and in the beginning, she was very helpful. It was sort of easy to just say, don't go back to work. Take these meds, because my symptoms were very severe, and to treat the severe symptoms is much easier than treating the less obvious persistent symptoms. May of last year, May of 2022, I went in to see this doctor, and my wife, then fiance at the time, came with me to this appointment, and I was very grateful for that because, I needed somebody in my corner. Finding the right words is not my strong suit, and I really needed somebody there, and I'm glad that she was there to witness how this doctor was towards me, because I think if I were to just tell her the story after the fact, it probably would have been like, oh, you're just remembering it wrong, or, maybe embellishing the story and whatnot. So long story short, I really feel like the doctor sort of had a motive and a goal before I even walked through the doors. And since I was on long-term disability, every once in a while they would have to fill out paperwork and have to explain this and that. And I honestly do think that she was way in over her head. She didn't have enough experience with individuals suffering with post-concussion symptoms or, prolonged concussion issues. So, she went in from asking me like how I was doing, and she really was sort of glazed over and not really like interested in anything that I was saying. And her main goal was, you have to get back to work. You have to do something. She really kept insisting like that I do something, and I walk dogs or whatever. And I said, well, I am walking dogs, but that's not going to pay my bills. And her response was, well, that's not for me, that's for social work. And just these really insensitive responses that were really cutting and were not sitting well with me. I mentioned I can't go back to the job that I used to do. I was a chef, and I worked in high volume, high busy, stressful, just multitasking, on your feet, constant environments that I no longer could do. Working in those types of environments was just not in the cards for me anymore, at least not at that time. And her response was like, well, go back to school. It was just so bizarre the way that she was to me. I was literally like 2 seconds away from just getting up and walking out of the room. I told her that I was having like memory issues. Her response to that, well, I don't think that you have early onset Alzheimer's, like smirking and chuckling, things like that. It was never like, oh, well, maybe we need to try a different therapy. Maybe we need to, try this avenue. Then it's like, well, maybe it's not memory issues. Maybe it's attention issues. Here's Adderall. Like, instead of trying some other approaches first, it was always just pushing medication at me left and right. And so when I left that appointment that day, I knew that I was never going to go back there again. I also, actually my fiance asked, what other cases do you have examples of people who, that have you had success? She had only had 2 other people that she had treated for post-concussion syndrome. And her one client, or the one patient, She said, oh, after just like 2 years, he stopped coming back here. I wonder why. And the other one was married to a nurse, and they moved to New York and lived happily ever after. And there was never any like clear, this is what happened. These are the rehabilitation steps that we took. This is the final outcome. So, I kind of knew right then and there that she was not the doctor for me. So if you ever find yourself in that situation where you're just feeling like you're not really getting the medical care, or they're being heard or being validated in the way that you feel, please go and find yourself a new doctor. And I know, I'm fortunate enough to live near Philadelphia, so I have like these resources nearby, and I have different options. So it might not be as easy for some. I know a lot of places are still doing virtual, so I decided to look into Penn Medicine because I know they have a reputable neurology department. They have a concussion clinic, and that is who I'm with now. And I'm with a nurse practitioner there, and it is completely night and day. For my very first appointment, she spent over 90 minutes with me, just in depth, understood all of the things that I was saying, could relate based on other patients that she has. My case was just a slightly different just because I had COVID at the same time, and sometimes like the COVID symptoms and like long haul COVID, they overlap, and they actually treat long haul COVID there as well. So there's just a lot of different resources there, and very knowledgeable. No push for me to just go back to work or go back to school and try to relearn things as if my brain isn't messed up enough. Now, this other doctor wanted me to go and like learn. Anyway, I digress. Please find yourself a doctor or a nurse or something, a practice that will hear you and listen. And I'm fortunate that I, only had to do this one switch. If I had to switch again and find somebody else, then I would have kept going around until somebody listened to me, because, I know what I'm feeling inside. You know what you're feeling. And, we all deserve to be heard. So this nurse practitioner also suggested that I go back to physical therapy and speech therapy. And she also included occupational therapy in there as well. She recommended a therapy group that runs, I believe, up the East Coast, or at least in the tri-state area. Good Shepherd, for any of you that might live in like the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Delaware-ish area. But so I had my first appointment with that neurologist in October of 2022. By the end of November, I was in this therapy groups doing OT, PT, speech 2 times a week for each of them. And I'm still in those therapies, and it has been night and day from the other 2 therapies that I have done before. I did PT before, and I also did speech. But again, like, those clinics that I went to were not really like concussion focused. They didn't have the knowledge and like the experience with it, and like brain injury, all that kind of thing. So I actually see other people who have also suffered concussions in there as well. So it's a like comforting feeling. I'm not the only one. I'm not the guinea pig. They're known for treating brain injuries. So I do feel comfortable. They've been great working with me, sort of curtailing my programs to my real life experiences. If I go in and I say, well, I noticed that when I roll out of bed, my symptoms start to flare up. We incorporate rolling. When I'm crouched down, and then I get up, I am spinning. We incorporate that. So I'm having issues with recall and storytelling and, background noises. Everything has been really just personalized, and it's not just like a one size fits all sort of approach. which I thoroughly enjoy. My occupational therapist suggested that I see a neuro-ophthalmologist to check my vision because my eyes are slightly off. They're like, one is like slightly higher than the other, I guess now. And I'm having an issue with like converging or diverging. I don't remember the terminology or which one is which. But so I'm also doing vision therapy, glasses that are like computerized. They're sort of like 3D, work with a TV screen, and yeah, it really is. It really has been great, and I do feel like it has been helping me. The past couple weeks I have been off from there just because I was on vacation. Right now I'm away house sitting, so I've been feeling a bit off, and I don't know if it's because I haven't been going and I sort of broke that cycle. So we'll see when I go back and see what next week looks like. But I am ever grateful that I have, sort of landed in the hands of these therapists. I enjoy going there. I sort of call it like my little day program because I'm gone for about 3 to 4 hours. It gets me out of the house. It gets me working, and it really gets my brain working all different angles. When I'm done vision, I typically have some sort of like nausea that has come up. When I'm done speech, I usually have a headache. When I'm done PT, I usually have a bit of fogginess. So I can tell that each therapy is sort of targeting these different areas and really hitting those deficits that I do have. So I'm anxious to actually get back to my program and see where it leads me, and see if it can't help me continue to progress, I guess. The other thing I wanted to talk about that I know a lot of people have a difficult time navigating is getting approved for disability. And, it is a very difficult road to navigate. And I was denied twice. And let me just back up. I was on short-term disability, long-term disability, and the long-term disability insurance company that I had through my former employer, they sort of require you to, it's just a next course of action. They want you to apply for Social Security disability, obviously, so that you can get off of their program. The long-term disability insurance company wants you to get off of them so that you can go on to Social Security disability and they can get their money back. So they sort of set you up with like a third-party advocate team that sort of helps you to navigate these things in a way. You still have to do the paperwork and all that kind of thing, but it really does help if you're trying to do this on your own. I feel like it's going to be a lot harder than if you have one of these like appointed people. So I was fortunate enough to have that. I did get denied the first 2 times, and the third time I had to actually go and have like a court hearing. So it was like they appointed me a lawyer, a judge, there was a vocational specialist, and they reviewed the case, and I was immediately approved for disability. He completely understood. I was thankful that the judge was understanding, and I've been in therapies. I've been going to doctors. At the hearing, the vocational specialist, sort of looked at my previous jobs and what my responsibilities were, what my limitations are now, based on all of my medical records and based on what my doctors and my therapists say. And I was immediately granted disability. So it was a relief. I don't know what that looks like moving forward. I do get back pay from the very first day from back in 2020. Of course, I have to pay the long-term disability back, which it is what it is. It's not my money. I didn't shell it out. It would be nice if I get to keep it in addition to that, because it is a fraction of what I used to make, but that's just not how it works. So I am grateful. I still have these denial periods where I'm just like, I don't deserve this, or I'm not as hurt as I think I am, or whatever it is. And, but the deficits are there, and, I don't know. We'll see what happens next. Just keep at it. They will deny you at least the first 2 times. If they gave it away to everybody right away, everybody would get it. And, there are people out there who try to abuse the system. So I get that, but it is a long, difficult process, especially for those of us who have these comprehension issues, or, just can't understand paperwork, or be at a computer screen for that long, or any of the other deficits that come along with having post-concussion syndrome. So try to be patient and, just truck along. If there's any questions I can answer about it, feel free to leave comments down below, and I'll do my best to sort of help. Yeah, I mean, that's all I have for right now. Aside from that, I have been trying to exercise more. I am training for this hike that we're doing in a couple of weeks. So we've been walking, and the walking has been really helping. Obviously, some days are better than others. I've been trying to just work on knowing my limits, when to stop, when to give myself breaks. So that is always, there's a curve to it. It's not linear, and you probably know that. And just knowing and listening to your body, really. I'm working with a nutritionist to sort of help me there. And, if I get my physical health in check and drink more water, all those things are good for your brain health as well. So the key takeaways here are, if you're not satisfied with the doctor that you have right now and they're not listening to you, please advocate for yourself. Find yourself a doctor who understands, will listen to you, and will work with you for what you need. If you need to continue to go to therapy, or someone hasn't suggested it yet, perhaps, make the suggestion and give PT, OT, and speech therapy a try, depending on what your deficits are. Know your limits, know when to stop, when to take breaks. Just listen to your body is the most important thing. And the road to recovery is definitely not an easy one by any means. It gets better. It may not ever get 100%. I have come to peace with that. I'm good where I'm at right now, and slow and steady wins the race. I am just, grateful, I guess. I'm grateful. And some days I get down, but for the most part, things are definitely better than they were 2.5 years ago. So, like I said, the road is bumpy, but there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm just hopeful for continued progress. And hey, if I need to be in therapies and do whatever and work a little bit here and do a little bit there for the rest of my life, then so be it. It's not so bad. I've got my fingers, I've got my toes. I can walk, I can talk. Thankful that I can drive again, for at least short distances. So, at the end of the day, life isn't too bad. So anyway, that's all I have for you right now on this post-concussion syndrome update video. I'll be back with some other videos. If there's anything that you want me to specifically talk about, please, like I said, leave a comment down below, and I will do my best to make a video about it. So until next time, I hope you all are doing well, and I'll see you later. Bye.